Well, I'm not sure that you can hear them, but as the sounds of the Endrust Trad Jazz Band waft over the beautiful Mt Crawford Pine Forest, we return for day 2 of our live telecast. The final televised sections of the Endrust Forest Rally. It's a beautiful day here. Thousands of spectators have come along to join in the thrills and excitement, and I would say that the sections are going to be quite a bit faster than yesterday because of the sunshine, but I think we've still got some mud around. Stuart McLeod, rally champion, one of our commentators for today.
Yes, Roger, there's quite a lot of mud around, and they've had to change the sections for today quite considerably. There's a few spectators on the course, so they've had to cut out a couple of sections. There's a big bog hole that was created yesterday that we were only going to use fractionally today, but it's that bad that we have to change it around a bit. So today's sections will be cut substantially from, I think, 8 down to 4, but it'll still give plenty of action on camera, and plenty of people will be able to see the action here in the forest.
But nevertheless, although we have some sections that are muddy, we still have other sections which are going to be faster because of the sunshine.
That's right. The course has dried out a bit, and whilst there are some muddy patches and the cars will still get a lot of mud over them.
Is this going to add to the excitement, do you think?
I think so. I think it'll be very, very exciting today because the times that have been put up by Colin Bond, some of the faster drivers will be attained again today.
All right, thank you, Stuart. Assisting Stuart, Will Hagan. Motoring editor of the Sunday Telegraph. Will, I certainly wouldn't like to keep book on a rally. The things change so rapidly.
Sure do. We saw Colin Bond yesterday driving brilliantly on the televised sections, truly brilliantly. It was quite exceptional display of driving. In front of his young and very talented teammate Greg Carr, and he hit the front, and we thought that perhaps he might be reasonably firmly ensconced there. Carr, though, came back tremendously quickly and was half a minute in front of Colin, and then almost equally quickly bent his differential and couldn't fix it and is out of the event.
Now, we expected big things of Dunkerton. What's happened to him?
Well, Ross Dunkerton's running in 32nd place. He's a long way back. His teammate in the Datsun team, George Fury, running in 11th, but they have both had troubles, unfortunately, like Rano Aaltonen, who was going to be the star, the overseas star of the event.
We haven't sighted him at all.
No, unfortunately, he drove a total of 29 minutes, didn't get onto a competitive stage, and is not with us. The car was damaged, had engine trouble, there were no spare parts available, and so he hasn't taken part at all, virtually.
That is very bad luck, but however, we're going to hear from Rano Aaltonen. He's up with Evan Green at the moment in the commentator's position. Over to you, Evan.
Thank you very much, Roger. Well, yes, the mystery man of the rally is here with me. Rano Aaltonen from Finland, the man who has won a Monte Carlo rally, European rally champion, at last year's Southern Cross Rally. But Rano, you didn't get very far in this year's Endrust Forest Rally. What happened?
No, we went 29 minutes out of Adelaide, and then the engine suddenly stopped.
Well, that's most unlike a Datsun. One thing that has featured their progress in past years has been the reliability. So
yeah,
what happened to the motor?
Yes, indeed. Well, I had full faith in my Datsun, and I thought it must be something little electrical, cable off, something like this. I opened the bonnet, and I don't think the camshafts were moving anymore. It means that something in the gear was gone.
Yes, the timing had gone. Well, the competition's loss is the commentator's gain, because Rano will be with us today to tell us something about what's happening. We're going to have some great action, I think, in these rally televised sections. Conditions look a bit slippery even with the sunshine. You've had a little bit of a look around. How do you think the cars will be going against the set schedules that have been set today? Impossible times?
For instance, here I have seen that your time is 50 seconds for this round, and it's 96 kph. I think this is absolutely impossible.
An average of 96 kilometres an hour, a little bit fast, you think, for the forest. Well, the man who can tell us all about the section, in fact, he's standing there, if not quite ankle-deep in mud, at least working that way, is Peter McDonald. Over to you, Peter.
Thanks very much, Evan. Behind me at the moment, we have some of the cars lined up for this first television section. It's 1.34 kilometres long, and as Rano just told you, it is going to be a 50-second run, and that's almost impossible, I would say. And with me at the moment, I have the current rally leader, who is Colin Bond. Colin, do you reckon that it's possible to get round here in 50 seconds?
I don't know. We'll soon find out. I think that you have to calculate it back, I suppose, on the distance and work out the time involved. And I'm not that good at this stage of the morning, but I know we'll give it a good shake-up. It's fairly straight, and the cars will get up here fairly quickly. There's a few puddles I can just sort of noticing now, so I think that it's going to be a very spectacular section for everybody, and a very close section, actually. I feel on this particular one there'll be a lot of cars doing very close to the same times.
Well, you've already done one rally stage this morning. Are the conditions drying out at all?
They are, but you're still getting water seeping across the road in certain plots, you know, and it can get you into a false sense of security. Actually, you sort of lob and you think the road's fairly dry, and you'll get to a corner and it's very damp still, and you're arriving at it faster than what you would have if the thing had been consistently wet, say. But at this stage of the game, you've just got to think about those things and drive the car sensibly.
Well, Colin, I know you're the first one off, so you'll be itching to get away. I'll leave you to go, and now we'll cross over to Kerry Luckins in our other televised position.
Thanks very much, Peter McDonald. Well, we hope to be able to speak to Colin Bond and most of the drivers as they complete their runs on this track. As has been mentioned, it's quite muddy in areas, but there's some very fast parts of it too, and the cars will be going very, very quickly, particularly towards the finish line here. And as they finished, as we say, we'll be able to get the comments from the drivers when they get to this position. Well, the first car are just about to get away, so we can hand you back to Evan Green in the main commentary position.
Thank you, Kerry. A marvellous day for rallying here. You can see the crowds already in the hills here at the Mt Crawford State Forest. A glorious location. Rano Altman, must remind you a little bit of Finland and the Thousand Lakes with the forests and the crowds that they get there.
Well, yes, we have the same kind of crowd. We have different type of forest, but same kind of road again.
Right. Well, now we're about to see Colin Bond, who is leading the rally and will be the first car away to tackle this first section. Again, it's the Valvoline special stage, $1,000 prize money to the man who goes through here in the fastest time. So far, we've had 2 of these stages. Colin Bond has collected both of them, so he's $2,000 wealthier. He can go home now and be in front as far as his participation in this event. Again, we'll be timing for you. You can see the clock in the right-hand corner of your screen. It's only a short section, as Peter McDonald was saying. The distance, a mere 1.34 kilometres. It's difficult. There are a water splash or two, a couple of right-angle bends, a new chicane or artificial bend put into a climb up the hill and a nice jump at the end. The average speed, as Rano had worked out, is 96.48 kilometres. He doesn't think it's possible, neither does that spectator, obviously. He's got his ears cocked for anything. Many people are ready, as you can see, for anything. Colin Bond, just how prepared is he? Away he comes, a man who's been in dynamic form. Goes into the water splash.
Obviously.
Right angle bend now. Rough there, by the way, Colin came up, as you can see. Colin preparing for another bend, made very difficult by that ditch there, flings the tail out, and now he's up on what we might loosely call a straight. He's got a chicane in it, a splash or two.
The car's still handling as well as it was yesterday, Evan. He gets the tail out around the bend there. The new chicane there. He's got the advantage, of course, of being first through it. And the later cars may find it be a bit chopped up again.
Coming towards the jump. There's dust there, which we didn't see yesterday as the splash. Colin already over the allowed time, over a minute. Here he comes to the jump, and again he puts the leg up in the air, puts it down, coming into the control. A great roar from the crowd as Colin comes in. We didn't have the official time going on screen there. We'll get it for you. I made him in around 1 minute 8 seconds. But well over the allowed time, or the suggested time of 50 seconds. But as Rano Alden said, that is just not on. Let's watch the rerun. Rano, you might like to chip in here with Colin's run through. We'll do it in slow motion for you. This is the way he's setting up for the right-hand bend. A rather awkward one with that crown of the road facing him.
Yes, but Colin is not using the, I suppose I would say, continental way of swaying in the first the wrong way. He's driving a very, very clean racing line. But as you can see, his car is very, very stable.
Yes. You would have put it the other way and then swung the tail out. That would have been your...
It depends on your suspension setting, really.
Right. The next car underway. Into the water splash.
And this is second place Portman, Jeff Portman, who is 4 minutes 20 seconds behind Colin Bond. Back in second place, his time penalties, 28 minutes 58 seconds. Colin Bond leading with a total penalty of 24 minutes and 38 seconds. So Portman doing a great job in an old Datsun 1600. Rano, I think you'd agree that to be running in a field of this quality, up in a major placing in a car that old, is quite an achievement.
Well, he must have prepared his car very well, because it looked to be going very nicely. But he must also be in good form. He's using the whole width of the road very well. Very stable as well.
So watching Jeff Portman now. car number 19. Victorian driver with Ross Runnels, his navigator. And Portman now coming up towards the end of the section, into control there. And as we get official times from you on these, we'll pass them on. But in the meantime, we want to go down to Kerry Luckens.
Well, Colin, how did you enjoy that one? You took 2 $1,000 prizes yesterday. How do you think you'll go today on that one?
Well, I'm not so sure about that one. We didn't put the thing together as well as I would have liked, put it that way, but we did a quite good time, I'd feel. But there's Ross Duncan and George Fury could easily give that one a shake-up, I think, today, later on.
Right, well, we'll just take good note of their performance, and we'll talk to you later, Colin Bond.
Good, thanks very much.
Back now to
Well,
main
that's
commentary.
the section, and the next car onto it should be Harrowfield in car number 17.
We've got Bonham as the navigator.
And that's who it is. They're running in their order in the field. And again, it's a Datsun 1600.
He's really working that motor. He's trying desperately to wrest some of the $1,000 prizes off of Colin Bond.
Yes, well, it's a big incentive. There's, as we were saying yesterday, there's often not that much money available for an outright first place in a rally. To be able to win it on a special stage is really a big incentive for the crews. And you can see that from the way they're trying. Third place, Harrowfield in 1 minute 59 seconds in arrears to Jeff Portman, who's in second. There's the timer going. Again, the redoubtable Datsun 1600, a car that served so many people well. They've not gone through the chicane back there, so they should get a good time. And my goodness, they were flying over the jump there. Rano, that must be very punishing when the cars come down from there. Before we come to you to answer that, we'll go down quickly to Kerry Luckens. And just see that jump again, though. Rano Altonen must be very hard on drivers and navigators sitting in the car when you land so hard and unevenly.
Yes, you know, if you sit too upright, you might even go blind for deceleration. The best technique is to bend forward slightly.
You bend forward and just sort of...
Yes, and your spine will flex. But you see the lovely suspension movement this car had. That's very
Yes.
important, not
And
to have too stiff suspension.
The back wheel there could be seen working in the inside back wheel as it came down. And now down to Kerry Luckens.
Well, Gary Harrowfield, out of the car, how did you enjoy that run?
That was very good fun.
You seem to be going very quickly, but I heard you missed the chicane.
Yes, I think someone had missed it before me.
Oh, well, you enjoyed it, and it looks like a very fast time. We're just waiting on the times now, so best of luck, Gary, and we'll catch up with you on the second one later in the day.
Thank you, Kerry. Yeah,
Good. Well done, Gary. Have a good day.
Really gets the adrenaline pumping.
Fine, back now to main commentary.
The car on the line now is David Jones and Ian Pearson in their Lancet GSR 1600, and they're away.
Jones running in fourth place. He is a mere 14 seconds behind Gary Harrowfield. Very quickly and hard through the water splash, as you can see by the amount of water the shot out of the trough back there. The first of the Mitsubishi cars in the top, amongst the top place getters. A Ford Escort leading the event, followed by 2 Datsun 1600s and then this Mitsubishi Lancer.
That's unbelievable after the conditions of yesterday. They're even throwing dust up today.
Yep.
Well, now the times he has to beat. Colin Bond did 1:15 to be fastest, but only fractionally. Jeff Portman 1:16, 1 second slower, and Gary Harrowfield 1:18.
There's some problem with those two that they didn't go through the chicane, so that's why they've been able to get so close to Colin Bond.
Oh, I was running down there finding the times. I didn't realise they'd made that sort of error. Well, no problem as far as the Mitsubishi's concerned.
David Jones is doing very well, though. 1:12.
He's up to Colin Bond's time now, yes, just before the jump.
Ian Pearson, his navigator. Gently over there, into control. The next car to get away is going to be number 29, yet another Datsun 1600. This one being driven by Ed Mulligan from Sydney and navigated by Graham Moole from Canberra. Ed we saw put in a very good drive on the televised sections yesterday, living very fully up to the name of his rally supply firm in Sydney, called Opposite Lock.
Ed's doing very well at the moment. He's down 31 minutes 32 seconds to be in 5th place outright.
And he has lost 21 seconds more than has David Jones in 4th place. His total time penalty is 31.32, as you said, puts him 7 minutes, just under 7 minutes behind Colin Bond.
Still very, very close, and really anybody's got a chance of winning it with the sections that are left in today. Anything can happen, as we've seen overnight. Things can break, cars can get bogged. It's still anyone's rally.
Well, it hasn't been a happy rally for the Datsun official team, the Nissan Motor entry of Rano Aaltonen and George Fury and Ross Dunkerton, but there's certainly no lack of Datsuns in the up amongst the top placed cars, 2nd, 3rd and 5th place, as you can see at the moment, and there are many more of them as well.
Evan Green, how does this time look?
Well, 1:15's the time he has to be, so he's beyond Colin's time, and it's going to be about 2nd place, I'd say, among the fast ones, because the 2 cars we know missed. 1:21 seconds puts him just marginally ahead of David Jones, who was 1:21.9, and taken to the nearest second, which is the way they'll be taking them, I suppose, will be 1:22, so he has a 1 second margin over him. That'll put him second to Colin Bond, so Ed Mulligan now 2nd place in this Valvoline special stage for the $1,000 prize. Over to you, Kerry Luckins.
Well, Ed Mulligan, looked like you were keeping up with the traditions of your business name. Did you enjoy that run?
Oh, yeah, it was a bit scary, I guess, you know. That's the way it goes, though, Kerry. It's pretty wet down the bottom down there. Actually, that bottom corner's not too bad. If someone goes a bit wide, I think they'll get bogged. Apart from that, I think it's a beautiful little section.
Great, well, I think you're well in the running for that $1,000. We'll let you know a little later.
Okay, then. Thanks very much, Kerry.
Well done, Ed. Back now to main commentary.
Next car away is Phil Pittaway and Peter Harden, the first of the South Australians. A couple of the South Australians who were fancied runners have dropped back in the field. Dean Rainsford dropped back to 13th. But Phil Pittaway, current South Australian Rally champion holder, is on the track at the moment. Another Datsun 1600 through the water splash.
He's had a good progressive run in the South Australian Rally Championship, being 4th in it in 1976, then 3rd in 77, and finally this year taking the championship.
Well, a little circuit with lots of short straights and right-angle bends and hazards in the middle, the little dips and bumps and a couple of water splashes for the second right-hander now. Anyway, a little bit of a tail sway on the way out, which is probably not the way to do it quickly. Better to get the swaying over beforehand. Now towards the minor bump there, a bit deeper splash here, rougher on the suspension and a little bit hard under the control before he peels off towards the chicane marked by these straw bales. This is Pittaway. The time he has to beat Colin Bond, 1:15. Ed Mulligan maybe more stick for 2nd place. He's within sight at a 1:20, so he has, 17 seconds to go. Doing it pretty well.
That's a pretty good time, actually.
Yes, indeed.
Very well.
Ed Mulligan's time's a bit in jeopardy. I think he's over the jump now. He's going to be very close. Here's a 1:18.8.
Oh, and pulled up in very enthusiastic style. They're being straightened up by a bank, I think, as he...
Let's watch the replay and let's reflect that I think the finish is a little hairy there. It looks a little bit hazardous. There are a lot of people around and the cars are coming in very fast. The television lens tends to foreshorten a little bit on that angle. They are really flying in towards the control area. Talking of flying, this is Pittaway setting that very fast time down towards the splash. Swaying the car, trying to slow it down and losing grip as a result. Takes it very hard on the way out. Look at the way that front thumped up. These cars have taken a real hammering, even though the course has been shortened so that there's now less than 500 kilometres in length, shortened because of impossible conditions. They've still gone through a fair amount of suffering, these vehicles.
With the change of course today, it doesn't look like it's going to cut up like it did yesterday, and I think some of the fancied runners who are now back in the field could quite easily give Colin Bond a shake for his money for fastest time. We've got Dunkerton and Blanchard, Taylor, Slater, Dean Rainsford, all still yet to come.
And this is the next car, Jim Connerty in car number 12, and his navigator, Russ Knight. Connerty lying in 7th place at the moment with a total time penalty of 33 minutes and 11 seconds, which puts him 37 seconds behind Pittaway. So you can see just how close they are. In behind Connerty, Rex Muldoon is a mere 6 seconds worse off. And this is a Mazda RX-3. Mazdas with a lot of power from their Wankel rotary engine. Very quickly over the jump there. And to talk to him, we go down to Kerry Luckins.
I think Kerry is running for his life. We might come back to him when he's regained composure a little bit. Jim Connolly, pretty fast there. I didn't pick the time up there as we came through. We'll see how he related though. That's a high jump. That's really requiring a fair bit of skill to get it all under control when they come back.
There's a great photography for car chassis engineers to study their cars and their suspensions and see how they're working.
They might go and design something else, I think.
The next one will be Rex Muldoon in car number 23. Cars coming in very rapid fire now through the water splash. And with Rex is Rebecca, his navigator. They, as I said, are just 6 seconds behind Connaughty. Total time penalties, 33 minutes and 17 seconds. They're in 8th place. And the interesting thing about the rally at this stage is that some of the top names and some of the drivers that are going to be very fast on this televised section are further down in the field. Because, for instance, behind Muldoon, we have Bob Riley in the Sigma, a very experienced driver. Not far, only 2 behind him, we have George Fury. And it's not far back to Danny Bignell and Dean Rainsford, Clive Slater, and further back Ross Dunkerton. Well, as you can see there, Rex Muldoon trying hard, another of the Datsun 1600s. Quick over the crest. And again, gee, in a lot of trouble stopping there actually, or a certain amount of trouble.
I think they've been thrown offline. That's 111.9.
And here's a replay of that. But the alarming thing is that there are people standing just past the control table. And the drivers, as you can see, are locking wheels and getting very crossed up as they come up to pull up at the control table. They come through the timing point before the actual control point.
Well, if he went through the chicane, that looks very much like it's the quickest time.
That's the time indeed, 111.9. That's a real surprise for Rex Muldoon, but unfortunately he missed the chicane. We had 3 cars that have missed it. We'll have to get a clarification from the stewards as to what's happened. Goodness me, a lot of violent tail wagging going on there.
Bob Riley really having a go.
Bob really built like a jockey. Very, very slight build indeed, but a very good driver, a very underrated driver, Evan.
Oh, I'd agree, yes. One of the sort of lesser lights. He's always had to rest in the shade of someone a little more famous. Builds the cars, does a lot of hard work, gets good results, but it's just not very well known. But he really is a great driver. You watch the way he takes his fairly heavy car through, of course.
He was a mechanic for Colin Bond in his early days.
Yes. Let's hope that he can pick up the chicane, which has cost 3 of the fast drivers a lot of lost points. No, there must be something there about either route instruction or they just can't see it. But Bob too has missed the chicane and they'll be very unhappy with themselves. That makes 4 of the top runners now who've missed it. Automatically, of course, they don't contend for the prize. And you can see the difference it makes to the time. He won't be quite as fast as the last one through Rex Muldoon, who really was sensational. But a 15.5 was his fast time. But it's not going to count because he missed that chicane, that artificial curve of straw bales, which must be hard to see. You might ask Kerry Luckins whether some of the drivers, if you can find someone down there, whether they've realised they've been missing the chicane.
Yes, thanks very much, Will. They certainly are aware of that, but the first one that I spoke to said, well, somebody else had missed it, so I thought I might as well miss it also. Just got Bob Riley with us now. Bob, it looks like you were very fast, but you missed the chicane. Were you aware of that?
No, because there's a gap. There's a lot of hay bales down there. Why, is there a penalty for missing the chicane?
Well, we're just trying to get some clarification from the stewards whether you're going to be penalised for missing the chicane, but you've got a lot of mates.
Oh, well, we'll all get the same penalty, won't we?
OK, best of luck for later on, Bob Riley. Back now to main commentary.
Yes, well, undoubtedly the straw bales he was talking about was the chicane, and it can't be clear to them.
Look at Ian Swan and Phil Rayner in car number 26.
While we're saying this, we might speak to Peter McDonald, if you can hear us, Peter, just to make sure that the officials down at the start advise the drivers there is a chicane, because they seem to be missing it. We don't want to see too many of them spoil their runs. That's it ahead, you see.
Well, Evan, there's nothing being said down here at the moment, but I might just walk up very shortly and just see if we can clarify that position.
Right. It might be a good community service. You can see in that good, vast, long angle sort of dilemma facing the drivers. Not quite sure what it is. They've been driving for a long time, remember, most of the night. And and it's not a good time to make sort of snap decisions of a confusing nature like that, and they've driven through, which seems the faster line. Again, we don't have the timer going on this car, but he's trying hard, as you can see. Wheel up in the air.
120Y Datsun of Ian Swan from Melbourne.
If you're listening, Kerry Luckins, it looks rather a crowded scene down there. Some of those cars seem to be coming in fairly rapidly. A bit alarming, or is it okay?
Well, when Bob Riley came in, he certainly looked like he was going to hit a couple of the spectators. We're just trying to get a lot of the spectators cleared out of the way. Unfortunately, they're not used to all this and not quite sure that the cars are going to be going this quickly.
Right.
Ian Swan with us now. How did you enjoy that? Frightened. You put up a pretty fast time, but you did go through the chicane.
Round us, where we're meant to go.
Yes, a lot of people have been missing it.
Right.
You did the right thing. Well done, Ian. Back now to main commentary.
Thanks, Kerry. We've got a man we should watch on screen at the moment. This is George Fury in car 10, and George will drive like a Fury. Rano Alston, you might like to comment on the way George is handling it.
Well, you see, George is using this lock technique before of going into a corner, trying to avoid oversteering coming out of the bend, and I think he manages very well.
Right, so he's driving in the continental way.
He's driving in the continental way. Not necessarily always faster, but it's a very much safer way.
Oh, he's missed the chicane as well. Goodness me. He's also picked up a branch. You can see it caught in the front suspension there. I don't know what this is going to do to this stage. The fact that so many of the fast cars have missed that turn, which is now no more than the confusing jumble of straw.
And he's in a 160J Datsun, which you, Rano, would have had quite a lot of experience with.
Well, that's the fastest time, by the way.
I did the East African Safari in a car like this, and I was very happy with it.
Let's watch him again, Rano, and you might just talk about his driving. This is George Fury going through the water splash at the beginning of the section. Car takes that bump very well, doesn't it?
Yes, the suspension works in a lovely way. The body hardly moves, so just the wheels go in and out.
This right-hand bend now, the way he throws the car a little bit so that he can put the tail out before the corner.
His brake lights are still on,
yes.
Going into the bend, and he accelerates out of it.
Right, another car under action now. Let's see who this is.
And this is Nud in car number 18.
Well, he was fast yesterday. He put up a very quick time, as you remember. A husband and wife team, I think. We were saying that he was being a bit rough on his wife.
Paul and Barbara Nud. Timer going. And those drivers we were watching earlier, Riley was just 6 seconds in front of Ian Swan, who was 59 seconds in front of George Fury, and then there's quite a gap back now to Paul Nud and his wife.
He brings the tail round, Rano.
The gap is 6 minutes and 9 seconds.
Yes, he had a beautiful approach, using the brakes and setting up the car, and he lost no time there.
Now, does he pick up the chicane? Yes, he does. His wife doesn't let him take the wrong course, making sure he doesn't go astray. Well, just explaining then that another bail has been put down to make sure the drivers can't go through. So we won't get any more missed runs there, but when we just get the final time for Nud, who comes in sideways and very hard. Over to you, Kerry Luckins.
Well, a very fast time was put up by George Fury, but George, you missed the chicane.
I don't know about that. I didn't even see it, actually.
Well, there it is. It was the fastest time, but unfortunately you missed the chicane. We're just waiting on some clarification from the stewards.
Well, as I say, I didn't see it, so I can't tell you anything.
Well, it looks like you enjoyed it. Thanks very much. Good George Fury. Back now to main commentary.
And looking at the replay here of Paul Nud and Barbara Nud in their Datsun 1600. And then on the circuit now with car number 6, the very spectacular Danny Bignall, looking spectacular too there as he weaves and wiggles the car on the camber of the roadway. His navigator, Rod van der Straten, both of them from Western Australia, and in a Datsun 120Y. They have lost a further just under 3 minutes to Paul Nud, so their total penalties are 46 minutes 35 seconds. Gives you some idea of the sort of times that drivers are aiming for when they've lost 3/4 of an hour on target times.
We don't have the electronic timing going, so we'll give you the time from the official time given a little later on for Danny Bignall. But he's obviously doing it as fast as he can, waving the tail, and I think he's in for a fairly high jump. Let's watch him as he approaches the high rise towards the end of this section. I think he's losing a bit of power. He just seems to be backing up a little bit there, which is not his way. Up to the jump. Yes, that was a fair old leap. What they call the Fosbury flop of the car world. Comes in under a fair D of control. He went through the chicane, of course, because as Stuart McLeod explained, there are extra straw bales there, so no one's going to miss it from now on, or else disappear from the rally in a great cloud of straw. This is Danny Bignell. Rano Alsman, a fairly straight line for such a fast and usually spectacular driver. Doesn't have the continental fling, does he?
Well, in this play it wasn't perhaps necessary because it was a change of direction, 2 times. Right. But he must have good tyres as well because he's so stable.
Right. Rano, I'd like you to comment about this corner we're looking at now as the car approaches. The way to do it, as you were saying, is to fling the tail out. But there's a very big dip before the road. Now, that must pose a very real threat of rollover to a car going sideways. You watch this car, for instance.
Dean Rainsford in car 13, the Porsche, with Jerry Brown navigating.
Yeah. Now, you watch him here as he throws the car in. Well, he's gone there. He's gone past our cameraman. Here he comes. Just watch him through. There's another dip at the end of the straight. He's going very fast. A bit of foreshortening. Look at the dip in there.
Yes. Yes, you mustn't get to a dip sideways because you might lose a wheel. But if you don't have a dip before a corner, then you should put it sideways.
Of course, the drivers don't know until they've gone through the first time. We should find out they'll do this section again.
He's not very fast.
And that'll make it interesting. They'll know the circuit a bit better.
Very often when you do it second time, you're more careful and you actually lose time then.
You've got a lot of tail wake up. You've driven Porsches, of course. A difficult car to handle?
I have tried a Porsche. You can't say it's difficult, but it requires certain expertise.
This is a good time that Dean Rainsford is putting up. He has to beat 1:15 to be fastest of the car's standard. Very close. 1:13.1, that's the fastest time. And another car underway. The clock is going. Who we got here, Will Hagan?
Brian Smallwood from Perth, and Andy Van Can, his navigator.
And we've got our first wipeout, I'd say. A bit of water on the ignition, a great cheer from the crowd who are most unsympathetic at such moments. The seconds are ticking by to their great embarrassment. You can hear the motor trying to crank up.
Well, that motor's probably been flooded 3 or 4 times during the night. They've been through quite a few creek crossings and probably any waterproofing that they had have been washed away.
Right. We'll watch it again as he comes in. You can understand why he had the strife when you see the force at which he hit the water.
Yes, he was slightly sideways, which would have thrown more water up into the engine compartment and just flooded out the electrics. What they need there is a fire extinguisher, actually.
Wheels riding out the winds. Don't pull them off. Excuse me. I think we may have a little bit of water. A bit of water?
Well, Howard Marsden, Nissan team manager, as we watch one of the private Datsun P510s stopped out there with wet ignition. But it hasn't been a happy rally for you, which of course is sometimes the way it goes. You won the Southern Cross last year, and you're looking good for your 2 team drivers in the Rally Championship this year, and of course you won it last year also. But it hasn't been your event so far.
Not from outright results, Will, but it's good and bad like everything in this particular sport. The first thing I want to say is how sorry we feel for the Adelaide Datsun dealers, having been very good to put money into the sport to get Rano out here, that our car should let him down so quickly. But unfortunately, that was one of those things. Ross had trouble with water in petrol.
This is Ross Dunkerton.
Ross Dunkerton, yeah. Beg your pardon. And, of course, George got stuck, as I think you people saw. George Fury got stuck yesterday for about...
No, we didn't see it. It was just after we finished our televised section, and he backed back into a hole, Howard.
Yes, so I understand, and he's still kicking himself about it.
In fact, I heard that George was very pleased he was off television when it happened.
Unfortunately, this embarrassment is well and truly on television. This is Brian Smallwood from Western Australia. Still can't get the motor going, drowned it in that deep water splash. He's probably had a pretty wet, miserable night. And they've got an ignition problem, which the crew are trying to fix. You can hear them talking to each other through their 2-way radio.
Well, I have one of the leading drivers, Datsun drivers, Ross Dunkerton, who's had more than his fair share of trouble, but Ross is back in hoping for that $1,000 in this section. Ross, you've been looking at some of the drivers. Do you reckon you've got a chance of taking up the best time?
It's very hard to say because the section is so small that it's more of a power type section where with normal rallying it's very, very twisty, where driver's ability comes into it a lot more. But this particular section is more of a power section, which would probably suit something like the Porsche, where it's got rear-wheel drive, engine over the back, and put the power to the ground. I think the course, you'll probably set fastest time.
Well, good luck on that one. Just talking about Dean Rainsford for a moment, he went through on that fast run with a flat tyre, I believe, and now back to central commentary.
Well, we're looking at a very different car, the R12 Renault, that number 38 of Brenton Udy, that's just gone into the tree there.
Yes, he's gone off the corner. Whether he hasn't hit a tree, whether it might be a stump or something there. He's got a problem at the front end, and they're on the other side. Our intrepid man with the cameras walking around to see what he's done. There are enough stumps and obstructions there. They've got him out of whatever it was. Went wide, just as Ross Duncan was saying how the section would suit a rear-wheel drive car like the Porsche. A man in a front-wheel drive car like the R12 goes and shows him what he was correct. You can see the damage there. The wheel badly bent. Really knocked the alignment out there. You can see how hard that wheel is bent in. Coming in now, you'll see how he hits the obstruction. The right-hand wheel at the front. He's going wide, sliding off a massive understeer there. Going hard and thump around this point where his wheel ran off the road and collected something, a stump or an embankment, going very wide and hard and crunch. That's the time when the massive realignment of that front right-hand wheel took place. They're now trying to push the car away, but it's very hard when the wheels are such an odd angle. You can see there, it's at about 45 degrees to the direction of travel. So bad luck for Brent Nudie and the Renault 12. You can see there, they've almost got to slide the wheel sideways. Nothing seems to have broken, although I can't imagine bending that far without something having gone, like a tie rod or some part of the steering mechanism.
Particularly, Evan, when that's a front-wheel drive vehicle.
Yeah.
With the drive shafts up there as well. Rhino Altonon, in fact, is an expert on front-wheel drive, and maybe he can tell us where the man went wrong.
The biggest problem with the front-wheel drive is that while you have full power on and the front wheel starts spinning, you have hardly any steering. And this is something which most people have difficult to remember. I didn't know exactly what happened to this car in this corner. It looked to go wide.
I don't think the driver did either. I think it was one of those sorts of corners. He went off wide, a lot of understeer, and he seems to have hit something.
Yes, in fact, radiator hose too looks to be affected as the car's starting to boil now. So two young chaps, 23-year-old Brenton Udy from Adelaide, Shane Blandford, his navigator, who's only 21 years old. And that car that went quite well yesterday in the televised stages, bad luck for them, very nicely presented car, and something a little bit different in mechanical layout and so on to most of the cars that are running. The disconsolate moment when the crew realised that what was an enjoyable event on a beautiful day has come to an abrupt and unscheduled end, Evan.
Indeed, yes, signs of distress there. I think he's probably on the drive shaft as well, by the way that wheel was bent. It was a most unnatural angle, and even allowing for a bit of normal bending, I think it went way beyond that. And the stationary motor finding it a bit hot. The Escort, it looked a little bit like in colours. Is it an Escort? It's a bit hard to pick up there. We'll just try and see if the car as it comes through. I doubt it. No, it's not, I don't think.
I believe it may be a Datsun.
Yes, that's the man from Datsun who recognised them just by the sniff.
And it's in fact Ossie Sikanen. John Birrell, his navigator, Datsun 1600.
Well, he's a fellow Finn, Rhino Altonon. Maybe we should get you to talk about him as he goes through.
Thank you, Evan. Changed the transmitter quite nicely, but went a bit too wide in the corner. Again, he's using the whole width of the road. It's quite nice. And too far right again, as most people do here in this corner.
Rhino, what's the correct technique in a water splash where you're not sure what the bottom is like? A few have been hitting rocks there and getting way out of line. Is it a dangerous tactic, or is it worth going quickly?
It's mostly worth going quickly, because if you go slowly, you might be thrown even more off your line. Go fast and have a high gear.
Well, some quite vigorous driving here. Next car, absolutely screaming as it comes down the track. Number 50, Dave Milne, the navigator and entrant, unusually, the driver being Barry Burns. So the school teacher navigator is the actual owner and entrant of the car, but putting Barry Burns in as the driver. Mazda RX-2.
Oh, he's gone. Now, he went into that rut that we saw before that Rhino Alton was talking about. They're all right. The car is not too bad, I don't think. But he put it sideways into the rut.
He's still mobile.
Still moving indeed. The condition we were talking about, he's not going to lose much time. He might lose a cameraman. He just got out of the way, as you can see. And he's back in again. Now, he didn't lose more than 10 seconds in the rollover. The only one in real danger there was our backpack operator, I'd say. It was a good effort by the man to get out of the way. And now he's back in it again. There's a little bit of damage. This is the Barry Burns, the driver in the Mazda. The front's a little bit crumpled, as you can see. Dave Milne, the owner, sitting alongside him, might be having second thoughts about the wisdom of putting another man in his own car. And he's going to make himself a fair sort of time. He might be not the slowest of the day, because he's got some who've lost a lot of time, but he's not going to be far behind the slowest of those who went round in a more conventional way.
He hasn't given up, that's for sure.
I think the navigator has. Look at that arm gripping the roll bar. 134.8. Kerry Luckin, I'd like you to speak to this fella. If there's not too much steam coming out of his ears. Over to you, Kerry Luckin. He was on his roof for about 2 seconds, lost very little time.
Apparently that was most spectacular. Can you tell us what happened?
Oh, well, just going a little bit too quick, and we hit a bump on the bit of opposite lock, and over she went. It seemed to be going really good for the last bit, and it just kicked itself.
Can you just explain how it happened? We're replaying the moment just at the moment.
Well, we're just coming down for the corner, and I braked for the corner, set her up, and I noticed that the other shots have been taking the line a little bit tight, so I ducked in tight, and we were drifting into the corner quite nicely, and just applied full power for straightening up, and the back wheel caught a rut, just picked her up and flipped her straight over.
No damage to your navigator?
No, well, we're both functioning, but I don't know how the car is.
He's looking a little ashen, and you've got a cut on your nose, so perhaps you better wipe that before the blood gets down all over your face. Well, bad luck, but you're still in it by the looks of it.
Yeah, well, I don't know now.
So the next car then, which
well, here's a man who's going to give us some excitement.
All sorts of funny directions, number 42.
Well, he found the road again, and it should be most interesting to see what he does in this corner that tipped the Burns Mazda on its roof.
This is Ian Smith, the motorsport photographer, who looks for his subject matter to be spectacular. At the moment, he's doing that for some other photographer. As you can see, he's off and bogged, more or less, very temporarily, and then underway again.
He looks like he has a flat tyre on the left-hand side, which I think was the reason he had such trouble going in. But he hit very hard. He probably deflated the tyre when he gave that enormous whack on the back left wheel as he came into that bend. And watching him through the chicane with a flat tyre will be interesting, because he's not slowing down.
Driving on a flat tyre, Rhino, again brings in certain special techniques.
You first have to see or find out whether it's a front or rear wheel and which side it is. The front wheel is a nasty one to drive, but if it's a rear one, and it's outside rear one, to be very careful not to spin it in a tight corner.
This jump will be very tricky for him, because he's going so hard, and he will have trouble controlling when he lands. But he holds it pretty well, and that's a fair effort from Ian Smith. Lack no vigour. A 130 is a good time, considering he did it with 3 sound wheels for most of the run. And there's the shot of the tyre and the rather battered-looking wheel. Let's look at it again and see where he caused it. I think he hit the wheel and deflated instantly here. Watch for the thump. He comes in. Now, as he goes down, you watch.
Certainly flat.
That was it. Yes, I think that.
Rhino, a great danger if when it's on the outside of it digging in and flipping the car over.
I wouldn't think it will first to dig in. The biggest problem is that you get a very, very quick spinning moment on it.
Yeah. We might talk to Kerry Luckins if you're there. How are they getting on with the tyre change? We've got a view of the wheel coming off. They're about to go away with the man still working on the wheel too, Kerry.
Yes, the officials have asked them to move because of the next group of cars coming. But while we're here, John Taylor and little TR7, you seem to be going very quickly and enjoying yourself?
Not quite quick enough.
You're a bit down in horsepower?
Yes, probably 100 horsepower down on the... yes.
Oh, well, better luck next time, and it certainly seemed to be going very quickly. Back now to main comment.
Looking at Anthony Lappage in car number 30, being navigated by Mark Ralph. A Datsun 180B SSS. You might note the dented roof in the car. They competed in the Donley Rally, the 3rd round in the Australian Rally Championship, yes, and hit a cow, which resulted in the dented roof in this car.
They got a cow on the roof?
Yes, how the cow got to the roof, we're not sure, but
carrying their own milk bar, obviously, but they're going to make a time that will be fairly close to the Ian Smith's time, a little bit faster, a 1:26.5 to Anthony Lappage.
Here comes Ross Dunkerton, and he wasn't kidding when he said he was going to have a go.
With the water splash. Yes, this is fast time. First right-hander, not so bad there, up on the road. Gets the power down and away.
Time he's aiming for is Dean Rainsford's 1:13.1. Colin Bond next best on 1:15.
Here he comes with a really hard one. Let's see, he sets it up, the continental swing. Yes, nicely through the rut straight, picks it up well, gets the power down well.
This is fairly quick.
Now up the back straight. First of the splashes. Second one might come out straight, which he does, so he can take the chicane. A 1:13.1. He's giving away a lot of power to the Porsche. Bit of a tail wag, but he brings it very quickly back under control, and he will go high when he comes to the jump.
I think he's well within contention.
1:13.1 the time he must make. He's close to the control now. Here comes the jump. Into the control area. It's going to be close. Yes, 1:12.8.
Ross Dunkerton, $1,000.
And my goodness, he's gone close to the spectators up there.
He had so much power, he had trouble in stopping in time for the control.
And he sets it.
Down to you, Kerry Luckins, while we watch the replay.
Right. Well, here's the man of the moment. It looks like you've got that $1,000.
At about time, too.
That was the most spectacular run. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, except the waterproofing in the bottom's a bit of a problem. There's a hole there which actually come up and squirt in our faces, which is, we didn't have any windscreen wipers for the eyes, which is a bit of a problem. But the car's running like a rocket. And only a bit of a problem yesterday, but if she was running yesterday, we would be really up with them. But
well, you're still in contention for the Australian Championship once again. It's getting to be a bit of a habit.
Not until the event's over. We'll have to see how Mr. Bond goes and compared to Mr. Fury, and those are the two people that are sitting in the positions at the moment.
It's not that we can't see the cars for the trees, it's just to give you an idea of the beautiful surroundings here for the final stages of the Endrust Forest Rally, round 5 of this year's Australian Rally Championship, and probably the outstanding single event in that series. The watch going in for the next car coming through. Now down to the 46 runner, which should be Gary Rainsford. Down to 68. Another Datsun 1600. John George with Rick Collett as navigator. John's an insurance broker. I wouldn't like to work out the odds on getting back without any scratches on the car. Rick Collett is a commercial artist. Calling the instructions. Dust ploughing up from the rear of the wheels. A sight we didn't see once yesterday in the two special stages. The forest very damp, the roads muddy, people being bogged and in a lot of strife. Today the tracks have dried out and the times are much quicker. Into the rough now around the chicane. Bumpy he goes. Misses all the ruts, which is what's causing the trouble. And very nicely gets the power down. Another quick run. Maybe not as fast as the previous car, but it's going to be a good time from the Datsun 1600. Oh, he's put it very much sideways. Controls it, but he doesn't ease up. The crowd are liking it. He's going to dodge the jump the way he's going. He's not easing up. That's one thing he's not doing. He's going to be in all sorts of stripes if he comes to the lead. But no, well, he doesn't go very high, but he's going to come into the control a little bit on the side as well. A 1:27.3. It looked very spectacular.
I don't think it was a shortcut, actually.
Well, watch it again and just see how much strife he got. It was a water splash that did it. He went into it. Whether he braked, I don't know.
I think he got his wheels slightly sideways going into the water, and that caused him to aquaplane the wrong direction. Got the back right out, tried to grab it again, but...
Yes, now he needed here, Stuart, just to ease up a little bit and get it all under control. But instead he put his foot down, and this is what happened.
It was a slight overcorrection while he went off to the grass. He caught it very well after the splash.
And that's the most unusual approach we've seen to the jump today, but from here on it was all good. John George, a total time of 1:27.3.
So back here at the Mt Crawford State Forest and to the later stage, the last section of the very long and testing Endrust Forest Rally. A lot of sections have been cut out of the event, but nevertheless it's It's been a very interesting one with lots of mishaps and dramas as we watch Colin Bond, the rally leader, attacking this section for the second time, chasing $1,000. 1:13.1 was the best time done by Dean Rainsford in the Porsche. Colin was second with 1:15.
And then Russ Donkerton, of course, came along later on with a 1:12.8. So that's the fastest time for the section, although this is a separate one. This is the Sway Away special stage. $1,000 prize. Colin really giving it a go. He might have damaged the steering, but you'd never know. Now he gets to some of the hard parts. That corner he's tackled well. It's getting much rougher here in the chicane than he saw before, making a very fast time.
The intrepid navigator, John Dawson-Damer.
It wasn't like that last time as Colin goes through, so the times may not be quite as quick, but this is a fast drive. We'll get the time for you when he completes it.
Kerry Luckens will be able to get the time for us from the finish of the section. Up the jump. Oh my goodness, he's high.
Yes, that was very, very high.
And a big cheer from the great crowd here.
I think that $1,000 made the world of difference to Colin's time.
We'll watch the replay. We'll ask Kerry Luckens whether he can find out the time, if he wouldn't mind crossing the track now things are a little quieter, to see what Colin Bond's time was in the escort. Well, that's a faster time, 1:11 we get from Kerry Luckens, which means Colin has set absolutely fastest time. This should be Muldoon running in order, or it could be Bob Riley. Looks like Bob Riley's car, yes. Bob Riley has picked up a little bit of ground. He was running in 11th place, so he's up now to be running in 7th place on the field. It doesn't guarantee him 7th place in points, but he certainly passed a few cars. Bob Riley running the Chrysler Sigma, a most interesting car for a lot of people because this has been a sensational bestseller in Australia, this 4-cylinder Japanese model, and has become the top-selling 2-litre car in Australia, which is something because that is now the most competitive category and accounts for 30% of all car sales. So carrying the flag for a lot of owners is Bob Riley, and doing it very well.
Could be very interesting to see just later on in its rallying career how well this car goes, because Bob has really only just started to develop this car.
I think we'll see quite a few in the Repco around Australia reliability trial next year. It'll be an ideal car for a lot of owners.
I think so. It's about the ideal size and a fair amount of power and
a
fairly
real,
stable.
Yes, a real ability to leap in the air. That's a fast time. 1:17.6 is second best. And that's hurtling it around. That's Bob Riley. It moves up into second place in this special stage behind Colin Bond with a 1:17.6. Good time. That's how he did it. Colin Bond, an incredible driver down there, being surrounded by people now because he will be running in the Hardy Fredo 1000 at Bathurst next week.
Well, I know as far as we're concerned, as far as the television side of the rally is concerned, we're finished, but you guys have still got a long way to go. Is that right?
Well, we've got to get back to Sydney. I mean, back to for sure, back to Adelaide and so on. But basically, the rally's over now.
If you can get the time, have a look at the replay of this. I'm sure we'll replay it. There's some fantastic shots of cars rolling over and yourself in action in slow motion. It's well worthwhile having a look at.
Good.
Yes, yeah, I think it'll worry you. Don't look.
Well, everybody, that's it from Mt Crawford. We look forward to being with you at the same time next year. I'm sure we will be bigger and better and brighter. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, Roger.
Thank you, Bob.
Very much indeed.